So the first thing to do is to fill out your metadata form. You can do this on site, or you can take screenshots or video and fill it out when you get back home. But it's basically noting the environmental variables of your sample site and the way that you've been sampling, and any notes that you might want to take. For example, if it's quite silty, or if there's a discoloration in the water, or if there's a lot of human activity going on. But we'll have a closer look at the form later on. The first thing we're going to do is fill our scuttle with seawater. That should be enough. If you have decided to take seawater variables, use your meter at this point in the scuttle to take those measurements. So if we suck up 50 ml of water into our syringe so that it's ready for cleaning out the filter of the plankton net. So it's time to put our plankton net in the water now. I have attached the weights onto the bottom and my filter is firmly in place. I also have attached this little bungee. That's just to make sure that I don't let go of the net. We don't want to do that. Also, we've got the ribbon on the net, and this is showing 1 meter between the top of the plankton net and 1 meter up the string. That's so that I know when my plankton net is at the correct depth of 1 meter. If it's windy, you need to make sure that your plankton net isn't going to get caught on anything, and also keep an eye on the way that the water is moving, because again, you don't, especially on a place like a pier, you don't want your net to go underneath the pier and get caught or ripped. Okay, let's put it in the water. Once your plankton net hits the water, you want to just let it sit for a second just to soak, and then you can let it go to depth. The weights will take it down. Once the ribbon is under the water, you want to slowly pull it to the surface. If the water is moving away, as it is right now, you might want to bring the net back for its next drop. So even though this is a vertical sample, it is really more like an oblique sample because the movement of the water is dragging it. And if conditions allow, you're going to want to do this process 10 times. So this is the last drop of the net. We bring it up slowly as before. And when we bring it back towards us, what we're going to do is, without the top going under the water, we're just going to give it a little wiggle to push any plankton that's stuck on the side of the net down the net. Then we're going to pull it up, again being careful it doesn't get snagged on anything. And what you can do at that point is just give it a gentle push down, a little shake, bring it onto land, but make sure that the filter remains upright and it doesn't tip. So once we've got the net back on dry land, you need to unscrew the filter. Now, if the filter is full of water, which it can be if it's been sedimenty, you're probably going to want to turn the bottom of the plankton net slightly so that when you unscrew the filter, the water that's in the bottom of the net pours into the pot. In this case, there isn't any water. It is just plankton and sediment, so we can carefully take off the filter. And then we're going to turn it over and use the syringe to clean it through. Now, what you may need to do is turn the filter around and wash the inside. If it's particularly sticky, such as Phaeocystis globosa, you might need to just very gently use your finger to dislodge some of the plankton on the net and then carry on washing it through. If you are counting phytoplankton, now is the time to take your subsample. So you have your vial of Lugol's iodine. I like to place my vial in a protective container so that it doesn't spill. And then you want to take your sample and homogenize it just by gently swirling and swishing in both directions. Then whilst the sediment is suspended in the water, you take your pipette and you sample about 2 milliliters, and then repeat the process again, homogenizing the sample and taking another 2 milliliters to put into your vial. Pop the lid on and just turn, and that is your preserved sample for phytoplankton counting later. That doesn't need to be stored in a cool environment. That can just be stored at room temperature. Now we have our sample. Make sure that the lid is placed tightly on, and then pop it into your cool bag, making sure that it doesn't touch the cool pack. If you've got another water sample, pop that in as well. And then let's take it home back to the lab.
Once you get home from sampling, you're going to want to wash your plankton net in fresh water straight away. If you are planning on sampling at multiple sites, you will need to sanitize your net in between locations. I do this using a Milton tablet. Let it soak in fresh water with the Milton tablet dissolved for about 15 minutes before rinsing thoroughly. Once your net has been cleaned through with fresh water, you want to hang it to dry, but do keep it out of direct sunlight as this will degrade your net.